It's a common mistake with home landscaping, planting trees and shrubs that grow too large for your space. We're going to talk about landscaping today. We have Marlon Kemetz. Marlon, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
You have a beautiful place here, and I just love this berm. Can you tell me, why did you put this in?
Well, thank you. We put in a pool a year ago, and since I love to do landscaping, anytime I can get extra dirt to do something, that's an opportunity. So what I did here, instead of having them haul the dirt away, we put the two berms in here. It's very important, when we built the berm, you don't want the berm extremely symmetrical. You want it rough, like
kind of flowing,
like you would see in nature, how a hillside wouldn't be perfect. So after we created the two berms, we came in with the rock, and we actually buried each rock. Each rock is probably 1/3 to 50% into the dirt. Right. So they look like they're coming out of the dirt like they would in nature, and we work around that.
Everything looks very natural. Tell me about the plants that you've put in here.
I grow a lot of dwarf conifers in that I don't want the plantings in 5-6 years to overpower the rocks. If the plantings get too big, the rocks can look out of scale. So I grow dwarf conifers and Japanese maples. The only thing that would be bigger again are the grasses in the back and the Russian sage, because there I did want some height to block the view.
It seems very low maintenance, so that's one of the goals. I'm interested in these dwarf conifer plants. You have a lot of different shapes and sizes in there.
We go with the dwarf conifers because they stay small. They only grow a minimal amount per year, and you can put a lot of them in. You can get a lot of different colors, a lot of different textures, and I think they work nicely.
Do you have an example, Marlon, of what a berm would look like in a few years?
Yes, I have about a half a dozen of them on the other side of the house that range in age from about 3 years old to, I have one berm that's 12 years old when we first built the house. So you can see trees in all different stages.
Can we take a look?
Absolutely.
All right. So Marlon, this is an older version of a berm?
Yes, we built this berm a year after we built our house, so this berm is probably about 13, 14 years old.
And you have quite a mixture of things in here.
Yes, I look for three things when we put in plantings of the dwarf conifers, that being shape, color, texture. You can get a lot of the greens with some nice foliage like this, or you can start getting into the different types of blues. There's several different blues and gray varieties. You can get some nice shapes like the dwarf Alberta spruce, where it's real dense. You
Almost
get
looks like a Christmas tree shape.
Yeah, exactly. And that tree is probably about 14 years old, because when we put it in, it was probably a little bit more than 12 to 18 inches high. So a lot of these trees are actually more of a mature tree at this point.
Is there any pruning involved with these trees?
Very little pruning. About the only time I will prune is if one is starting to grow over another one and stunting its growth. At that time I will go in, but I don't go in and do any shaping or anything like that. There again, I want minimal maintenance.
And really, you don't water them after they're first planted either.
That's the nice thing about dwarf conifers, or most varieties, that they're fairly hardy. So no, these have to live on the rain they get.
How much weeding is involved on your berm?
Very, very little. Once in a while you'll get a weed that'll start in the pea gravel, but it pulls out very easily because it hasn't had an opportunity to root in soil.
Where could I purchase these trees?
About 15 years ago, when I first got into dwarf conifers, you had to go to specialty garden shops to buy them. Now, even the big box stores are carrying some of the more common varieties. So I've picked up, for some of my newer berms, I've picked up plants as cheap as $5 to $10, where some of the more rare varieties you can spend $100 to $200 per tree. The other thing I do is I do a lot of shopping in the fall when the specialty stores will put their plants on sale for 35 to 50% off. I can pick up a lot of things in the fall and plant them then, and that's not only is it a good time to plant, but I can save a lot of money by doing it.
And tell me again, how much do they grow?
These grow about 2 inches per year, so they're very slow growing, and this would be probably considered a mature berm here with plantings, and that, of course, these will continue to grow, but this is about as big as they're going to get.
Do you have any problems with wildlife eating the trees?
We have a lot of deer in this area. When we first planted, I learned real quickly that the pines don't do well, the mugo pines and some of the other dwarf pine varieties. So I stay away from pines. The ones I do have, I have to put a cage around them in the winter. But the rest of these, the deer do not bother at all. So we're very fortunate in that. But the deer, we do have a heavy deer population in our development, and they will bother a lot of the plantings.
Right, so you just have to pick and choose.
It's better to work with them than to fight them.
Marlon, you have a beautiful place. Thanks for sharing it.
Thank you, Betsy.
As you can see, dwarf conifers could be a great addition to any landscape.